O, cymryd y hashif.
Comhairle, Spain.
Have you Comhairle, I believe.
Merci.
Agus chains head of a horse.
Smisje Hector MacNeil. Maar ga ik de sound doen, ja. Hector Beagle going ook. Maar roch de swine dat ik ze.
Agus Colaisde how?
Wel, ga je misje me vrij is me hokkel aan een Portage. Baile Beckett de Baile agus Sydney Forks. Agus sin voor een dag in me hokkel gussen de gak me in Arscal.
Agus daar visually in a smaller jacket, a fruit is sin a dish.
Oh, sí.
Smaller jacket, a tube the hat.
Sí. Toen maar ze echen merk echen wiegel Gàidhlig. Ik een merk roer, maar gaan han ik een was als een John Dewey. Is een roerie mooi goedig is aan een barrij. Echen merk echen wiegel Gàidhlig ik een. Ik schenk het er is een merk roerie. Zo ja, zijn er zwijn gehad.
Agus to the warehouse.
To the warehouse. She Vincent dan me henner. Garo Gaelic itje to shin. Well, Garo Gaelic ik me warehouse. Dus go Gaelic ik amahe. Jeek isje. Dat waren warehouse kurt ook. Agus so she Vincent dan we so echen Mary niet Vincent. Ik zei Davison wel. Kein bewoog was een maher. Maher. Ja, kein bewoog Soldiers Cove, Red Islands.
Agus, wel is het Colaisde Heilig, a motor record, that's a John Dewey.
Well, het is een misje uit Baile heen. En ik het was dan ook kijig ze hun. En ik het cheers go upon the meshug. Ik is hook het bohan walking en upon the meshug. Ga je er als je noorsjen go, hen ik het een stuk picto. En ik het cheers go upon the meshug. Hook het bohan walking. Ga je er als gepicto san jauri. Agus maar neach roi hook het paat gaif heen go show she is. Dus nu hanike terasje na lien och kijigs ga go upon the mash in ocean ba mastach holshin go spelle verre na house go rebel. Agus in ocean chai and you listen to you fats about down upon the mash chai mastach gau chai shechre. Agus hoodie met Jurk hou en ben gastje aan een railen zo. Karvaske en ustje. Ach, we listen je gaan het toe 4 naar Marche gaan, Marche. En agus gaan kroon en agus gaan achter de jaren gaan kroon. Agus talken me, verden me kanas, dus bries en vast. So hoek het de holische jimmerigheid, nou voel het maar gaan ze de holische in Chies bij gastje. Agus hoek het te walken in de zin van een dag in mijn meid, maar is de hoek al.
Nee, alles dat gezien.
Sure.
En is er staan veel echt een heel Gaelic. What is your name?
My name is Hector MacNeil. Hector MacNeil.
And where are you from?
I'm from Portage, a little community between, say, East Bay and Sydney Forks.
Great.
Yeah.
And where were you brought up in that same area?
In Portage, I lived there till I finished high school.
Okay. Yeah. And can you tell us some of your genealogy?
Well, my father was from Castle Bay, and they would call him Elchen Hector, the son of Michael, the son of young Donald. That would be like young Donald would be my great-grandfather. Okay. And then there was John, who came over from Scotland with John, and there was 5 siblings came over. But their father, Rudy Moe, Big Rory, stayed in Scotland. He stayed in Baile. He didn't come over, but anyway, so it'll be like, I will be Hector, the son of Hector, the son of Michael, the son of young Donald, son of John, who's the son of Rory, Big Rory.
And on your mother's side?
My mother's side, it would be, her name was Mary, and her father was Vincent Devison. Devison, yeah. And her mother was Margaret Campbell. And so the Devisons, I don't know, they're from Gléidheadh, but I understood that they came from Newfoundland, but I don't know that for sure. But my grandmother came from Red Island, Soldiers Cove, that way. She was a Campbell. Yeah. She died when my mother was young, and her father died when she was still a fairly young woman, so we never really got as much information on that side of the family as we did on my father's side. Yeah.
But I'm sure there was Gaelic in that area.
Oh, there had
at that time.
Absolutely, especially at that time, yeah.
Near Johnstown.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, there would have been Gaelic there for sure, yeah.
This, catch a jackal got skull.
Well, Jaime got skull, how she was a skull at a Portage. Skull Portage. Sean skull about. Da Sean, but it's a skull. Grades primary got 3 on an Sean, but Cair Cog Shias and John, but Ella. I guess the Salwish, non croch, Shias, fun of a walk at Fàillirinn, so hold Shias. Harowish Garui on the skull. But stall down, big the Gideon mode, come out. Colaisde stall was Domach, was Ushke having a stag. Tybeck a gach, but trouncing no hall. Jill never had a stag. I guess Tybeck na Gideon at Chiaunchins, Tybeck na Nian at Chiaunella. Ach, she shores at the outhouse a stag. It's like Tybeck a stag. I guess. And er got me on as a Darna era, how get skull over on the Portage. I guess Chashing in the skull shin. I guess in North Shin go Sydney River Junior High. I guess North Shin go Review High School. Yeah, so we created the skull shin.
Yeah, I guess, can we go to hours at a Gaelic?
Well, whole me Gaelic on the Vami nam Grapach is like it. But Gaelic ek Maher, get nach ook Gaelic ek Maher. I guess, big Donia China stay, should a show, no. Fig Maher fall, she, big gopper plumbing is and Donia's as a firesnock, so be it much at all call, what is Gachoji Hugnas. Big brun Gaelic, Donia Garo Gaelic is, maar hoort je ga je ook al aan een Portage. Maar ga je ook al aan een Gàidhlig. So, Hanneke ke Portage. Dus wel immer kun je aan een Portage nach Roas en Atchison. Portage, Sydney Forks Howie Center. Ga je het al de United Empire Loyalists, is dat goed. I guess, Hanneke de Gael, stoi. As Chianich Ferren, because Tay Hogan, Chianich Tay. I've for a Kafashka Sydney, Palo Sydney. Putting I'd be Gulper down a second, so she might have my head. So, what doing is as Dewey, a Furrock on Portage, you can now, doing it Gaelic, still, Fàillirinn, Haro. I guess big doing it, Gina Haley, doing it, Panamaster, Behastro, Gina Haley, should to show, and Tayak in you. Yeah, so the Gaelic on the North and good job. Maybe do me on at Gaelic.
Yeah. So, Severa, I was asking a bit about your education when you went to school. And
Yes. I started school in the old Portage school.
Yes.
And it was a 2-room school, and with the grade primary to 3 in one room and grade 4, 5, 6 in the other room. And had the lights. I remember the light bulbs hanging from wires in the ceiling. No running water. The big boys would haul in water for the cooler, and they keep the fire to the stove and all that. And but in grade 2, halfway through grade 2, we went into the new Portage school, which has been closed since then. And we finished grade 6 then, and then went to Sydney River Junior High, and then on to Riverview High School. Finished my high school there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll just continue now. After high school, you went to St. Evex. Or did you work for a while before you went?
Yeah,
to
I
St.
worked for a
Evex?
few years after finished high school. Yeah, I went to Halifax, and I worked as a warehouseman, window factory, a warehouseman, food warehouse. I worked as a union organizer for a year. Did different jobs like that, and I came back to Cape Breton. I worked cutting pulp. I worked in Christmas tree silviculture and shearing, and I started university. I didn't start university. I think I was 27 or 28 when I started university at St. Evex. Yeah.
And that was around 1980, was it?
Yeah, around 1980. Yeah. I'm never quite exactly sure of the year, to tell you the truth. Yeah.
Okay. So you graduated from St. Evex with a master's in Celtic Studies.
Well, no, I started at St. Evex my first year.
Okay.
And then my mother was ill. And I came down to help out. They lived in Portage, still in the old house. Yeah. And I came down to help out there, and I went to CBU. Well, it was UCCB at the time.
Yes.
And they still weren't, they still didn't have the license to grant degrees except under special circumstances. Right. So I qualified for that. They were very happy to offer a degree, of course. Yeah. But, so I did. I finished my BA at CBU, or UCCB at the time. And then I went back to St. Evex to do my MA. And I did the MA there. Yeah, Ken Nielsen and Sister Margaret. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So also we talked about your introduction to Gaelic. You want to go back a little bit and tell us your first recollections of hearing the language and
Sure. I don't remember when I never heard Gaelic.
Oh.
We didn't have it all the time in the house because my father spoke the language, but my mother didn't, you see. But there would be people coming in the house. We lived in Portage, and although my father was in Castle Bay, there were a lot of people moved in from further out in the country to areas like Portage, Sydney Forks, so that they could work in Sydney. Of course, there was a regular bus service going to Sydney at the time, the whole thing. So there were people from, say, McAdams Lake and my father from Castle Bay, another family from Castle Bay living in Portage. So there was Gaelic around there. Yeah. My father was kind of a community plumber too. He worked with the pipe fitters in his plant. So we'd be in and out of people's houses too if they had something they needed done. And if there were Gaelic speakers in the house, he'd be speaking Gaelic with them. And so you're always hearing it. And people, because we lived on the way to Sydney, between Castle Bay and Sydney, people would stop in the house, maybe on the way into Sydney, people from Castle Bay. It was a long drive then. See, back in the 1960s, yes. And the roads weren't as good. The cars weren't as good. Yeah. And so people would stop in for a visit, or maybe they'd stop in for a visit on the way home from Sydney, you know. And if they stopped in, then they might have a little Gilek with them, to share too, you know, so there'd be some conversation there too. Yeah. It would be in Gaelic and English back and forth, you know, those people stopped in.
There was a lot of visiting in those days.
A lot of visiting.
Yeah,
a lot of visiting. I think that would be really nice, you know. Yeah.
And that helped with the language.
You're right.
To keep it going.
Sure it did.
It really did. Yes, I think we're at a loss today that people don't visit as much as they used to.
That's right. And we're so dispersed that people have the language, you know. I can't just go next door and talk to someone who speaks Gaelic, you know. I have to come to Sydney or go to Christmas Island or you know. So it's not the same. It's not in the community, not in my community in Castle Bay anymore. There's no Gaelic speakers there. Yeah.
So we have to find other ways.
That's right. We do.
Okay, Echel, and next Ruth Elamie in Opadakas. Now we're going to talk about your work with Gaelic over the years. Can you give us a little summary of that from when you first started working with Gaelic?
Sure. When I was doing my MA at St. Vex, I taught my first evening class at the Highland Society there. And I started teaching night classes then, like through continuing education, whatever was funding it like that. And I did that until I finished my MA, and I started working then. We moved home, my wife and Giselle and I, we moved home to Cape Breton from Gléidheadh. And I got the job teaching Gaelic through the winter at the Gaelic College. They had Saturday classes, in different disciplines, Gaelic being one. And teaching at the night classes in the community and things like that. And I did that for a few years. In 1989, I started working in the summer school, teaching summer school at the Gaelic College.
Right.
And then that's continued for a number of years. And I'd be teaching through the winter, once again in Christmas Island, or one year at the Gaelic Society in Sydney. I started teaching CBU then. Norman MacDonald, who was a professor then, he took a sabbatical, and then he got ill, unfortunately, and then he got ill again, so I'd be replacing him when he was away. And then when he moved back to Scotland permanently, I kept teaching Gaelic there, like 2 courses, or maybe 2 courses at CBU, or maybe a third, like a directed study. So I did that, and then working at the Gaelic College in the summers, and did that, and then 1997, I believe, I started full-time at the Gaelic College as Gaelic director. And I was there until, I was employed by the Gaelic College until 2012, I believe, or 2013, and I finished there.
Yeah. Who was the CEO then? Was it
Sam McPhee.
Sam McPhee.
Yeah, that's right. Jim McCauley was there when I started.
Right.
And he left, and Sam McPhee came, and he was there for a long time when I was there.
So then you mentioned you did some winter courses at CBU, or?
Yes, it was. Yeah, well, the course I did at CBU were the regular academic courses, but because Norman MacDonald was either on sabbatical or he was ill, I'd replace him, kind of substitute teach, but for the whole term. And then, that gradually worked itself. I kept doing that when Norman moved to Scotland, and he was going to stay in Scotland. Then I was their Gaelic teacher there. Yeah. So
was it always the language you were teaching, or did you teach history or anything?
No, it was only the language I taught at CBU. At the Gaelic College, they used to have the Elder Hostel program, where people from all over the world, you had to be minimum 60 years old to take part. I think your spouse could be as young as 50, say.
Yeah.
But people would find their own way there, and the Gaelic College would offer a program on things Gaelic, things Scottish, perhaps.
Right.
And I would do a lecture there on the Highland clearances. And, other years you might do something, for other groups you might do something on Gaelic song or storytelling. But really, professionally, what I was doing was teaching the language. That's what I did. It was my bread and butter for 25 years. Yeah.
Now, can I ask these lectures you did you save copies of these lectures you did?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay. That would be interesting to look back on, wouldn't it?
It would be interesting.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Interesting might not be the exact word. Yeah.
I'm just thinking of archives.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Of course, yes.
So can I ask you the methodology that you started off with teaching Gaelic? Is it the same type of methodology you use today, for instance, for teaching?
Yeah, well, that's.
How did you manage that?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I started out with the night classes, teaching. I would make up my own lessons. Yeah. Sometimes I would write out the lesson 5 times with those 5 students, because I didn't have a photocopier.
Oh, right.
And there was none available locally. Other times you might use one course of Gaelic or something like that. It was kind of the grammar course, the way that I was taught,
Yes.
But I was trying to put, I think, more conversation into the classes than written classes. Yeah. Yeah, and more than I received when I was learning myself, you know.
Yeah.
But then when I think of this sometimes, I started at the Gaelic College doing the Saturday classes. I was doing a lot of what we call TIP now, or immersion style thing, like games with the game. It was all like children, we were doing children, but no vocabulary list or anything like that, because it was Saturday morning, and they were there, you know, for fun and learning. So I made up all kinds of games, you know, bingo game with Gaelic, and a foolish game where you pulled an article of clothing, as foolish as I could find, out of a bag, and if you couldn't name it, you had to put it on.
Okay.
So, you know, just things like that to kind of get people to do it. And then you get away from that. No training. No training as a teacher at all. And so you start thinking, well, maybe that's kind of light stuff. Maybe that's not what other people are doing. And I got away from it, you know. And then when TIP came in, I thought, oh, shoot, I could have been doing that for the last 20 years, but I gave it up.
It's pretty much the same.
Well, yeah, it was similar. It was right operating the same principle of like actively being physically involved.
Could you, when you taught in the earlier years, could you see that as being effective with the...
Well, it was as effective as anything else I was doing. You know, like once a week for however many, say 10 weeks in the fall and 10 weeks in the winter, whatever it might have been. You can only impart so much to students of any age.
In 1 day a week.
That's right, yeah. But it was effective. I had a great little group there. We set up a store. And I bring stuff from home, put it on the shelves in the classroom, and they go in shopping. And they would conduct their shopping in Gaelic. They would greet the person playing the shopkeeper, and they would ask for what they wanted. And I don't remember if they made change, you know. I don't remember, but they were a great group of kids, you know. Yeah, and they learned really well. They did.
Did you do any skits with them?
Yes, did a couple of skits. There was one skit I did with 2 students, and I've had that VHS tape somewhere. It's in this house. It's in a box in the basement. To find, but it was based on a little story about the judge. Fellow comes in, and it's just 2 people in it, the judge and the defendant. Okay. And he says something like, the judge says, "Did you steal something?" "I didn't." And the guy says, "I wouldn't say that I didn't." You know. And,
he wouldn't admit to it, but he wouldn't say that he did.
That's right, yeah. So the judge gets the better. Of course, he's got all the power anyway. Yeah. So he sends him to jail, and the guy says, "Well, how long am I? When will I be out?" And the judge says, "Well, sometime." And it made a really cute skit. We videotaped it and everything.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to see that if you had it.
Yes, I'd love to see it again myself. You have to get that out.
Because you can convert them now to
digital. That's right. You can. Yeah. On the topic of skits in Christmas Island, the early years teaching up there, that would be like the early 90s. The Gaelic class, we did a few skits, and we performed them at the Christmas concert or the community concert at the hall. And we performed them at the Gaelic College one time. Wow. Yeah, we did, they're based on local stories, like stories about Untitled, looking for work in Marble Mountain and things like that. And they're all based on traditional stories, maybe four, maybe 5, those skits we had. And it was really interesting and a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
Are those written out somewhere, those skits?
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm not a great record keeper.
Yeah. That would be a wonderful resource today.
But there are people in the group who are better record keepers than I, although it's a long time ago, But there might be someone who has those. Yeah.
So, Hector, who would you say inspired you to get involved working in Gaelic? Who, when you look back, is there one person or 2 that may have really encouraged you?
Yeah. I guess first of all, like to be interested in Gaelic, to be interested in it at all, came from my father, my Aunt Jessie, my Uncle Donald. He died. I was only 16, so I didn't get to know him as well. Although he was a wonderful guy and used to love helping him, and was a great storyteller. Just anyway, but my interest in Gaelic comes from that experience, an experience in Castle Bay. All the people there. But as far as learning and teaching in Gaelic, or working in Gaelic, I'd really have to credit Jim Watson with a lot of it, yeah. And the reason I say that is, at that time, this is like going back, what are we talking now, early 1980s? Like, Cape Breton Gaelic or Nova Scotia Gaelic didn't have a lot of respect in the world, A lot of people saw it as kind of a poor cousin to Scotland Gaelic, And so Jim Watson was one person who, really didn't accept that. And he made a point of presenting Gaelic Cape Breton as a viable, rich, valuable culture, language and culture, and that could stand on its own.
Yes.
And it was himself, John Shaw as well. Although I didn't know John that well, I just meet him from time to time. And but John Shaw was another person, and of course they're good friends, him and Jim. But they really laid the groundwork for a lot that came afterwards, because there was that attitude, and
yes,
they
I
did
heard
not
that
accept
myself.
it.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
The pure Gaelic was over in Scotland, the real pure.
Yeah, that's right. That's
dialects.
right. Yeah.
And they were almost afraid to be heard sometimes, because they might not be up to par.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know that. And I went to Scotland once, and I felt it myself when I was there. Because I was a learner, although I was kind of a high capability or proficiency learner. But still, when I got there, I was kind of shy to speak my Gaelic, not because I was from Cape Breton, perhaps, but because maybe it just wouldn't be good enough for them. And it took me a few days to get over that and just say, well, as they say, let her fly.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think half of the pleasure of listening to Gaelic is hearing the different dialects.
Absolutely.
Whether it's here in Nauvoo or Burgundy or Christmas Island or someplace in Scotland.
Yes, that's right.
Your ear perks up because that's, they have a different way of saying that. Isn't that interesting?
That's right. That's true. That's right.
And
And I've often said to people that Cape Breton is the ideal place to learn Scottish Gaelic, because you'll bump into all the dialects.
Yes.
It might not be just one dialect, like in Christmas Island you get Barra dialect, but overlaid with Loch Harbour dialect features. And, North Shore you get Lewis and North Lewis, and so the people in Christmas Island say we speak Barra Gaelic, and indeed they do, but there are other influences that you can learn from as well. So someone who learns the Gaelic in Cape Breton gets a really good introduction to all the dialects. They're right there. You just learn it without thinking about it. Yeah.
And how would you describe your own dialect?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's kind of a mixture, because I learned from some different people, like, Norma MacDonald from Skye, Sister Margaret from Judy, and of course at that time she was teaching us kind of more formal Gaelic, and I learned from Jim Watson, who was speaking Inverness County Gaelic, and then running into people. So quite a mixture, but
there's a Barra, when you go back to the roots of your own Gaelic.
Yeah.
Barra and
and I'd say Christmas Island Gaelic, which is Barra overlaid with other influences. Yeah. For instance, if I may, say there's no standard Gaelic, but most dialects they say the word for woman, Bodanoch.
Yes.
Bodanoch. Now, Sandy Cameron in Mabu, he would say Budamach, where the double N's go to an M. Yeah. So from Budamach to Budamach. Now you take someone, Murdoch MacNeil in Rear Christmas Island, beautiful Gaelic, wonderful storyteller, and just a wonderful person all around. But anyway, you'd go from Budamach to Budamach, and then with that bare R, Murdoch would say Budamach. Budamach. So now you have the slender R from the Gaelic, from the Barra dialect, Bud, and then the double N's going to M, so you have Budamach. So now you went from Budamach to Budamach.
Yes.
And so...
It's really a clear distinction.
Oh yeah, that's right. But you just hear it and you keep going,
That's right.
Yeah, so I guess, be Christmas Island dialect, but also I learned from so many people that could be something coming from somewhere else. And you don't think it,
It's like playing an instrument. We have our own style of speaking, the same as you would have your own style of playing the violin, and I would have my own style.
That's right, yeah.
And it's got a lot to do with your ears.
Yeah, and you have to find your voice in that language. And I had a hard time with that early on. I was just getting to a point where I was speaking with, and I imagined my father speaking. And I said, okay, there's it. So I didn't talk like my father, but I imagined his speech, and then I just talked in a way that I was comfortable, and I had my voice.
Right.
Because I think that could be a real challenge for learners.
It is.
Yeah, and speaking of mentors, I mentioned Jim Watson, John Shaw, but earlier on, my teachers, Sister Margaret MacDonald, she was my first teacher in Gaelic, and just a wonderful teacher, so very effective. I've never been able to impart to my students in a term as much as she imparted to us. And she did not bear fools lightly, but she got you to work and she got you to learn, and I really learned a lot from her. In that first year, it was such a good foundation. And I had Norman MacDonald at CBU, or UCCB at the time. And it was with Norman I had my first all-Gaelic conversation. I wanted to learn a song, and I arranged to see him. I walked into his office and I said to him in Gaelic, I want to learn this song. And he said, and he spoke to me in Gaelic, and we arranged just maybe a 10-sentence conversation that we would work on this song on Tuesday afternoons at 2:00. And I said, Tapalai Gamode, and I left before we started speaking English,
Right.
So I have to give a teacher the credit to allow the student to speak Gaelic. And I'm sure I was making all kinds of mistakes, but we got the job done, and it felt so good. It gave me so much confidence. Yeah.
Great memory to have too.
Indeed, yeah. And then of course I did my MA and had Ken Nielsen was at Maine. He taught so many courses, and he's such a great teacher, and such a resource, and such an intelligent man. He was wonderful. And of course I did Gaelic with him, of course, but also Old Irish and Welsh and Irish, and he's just so well versed in everything he did, And Sister Margaret MacDonald, once again, when I was doing my MA, I did some Gaelic courses with her. The 2 years I did, and it was more one-on-one at that point. And of course, then I had an opportunity to learn so much more quickly because I had such a good foundation and such a good resource person. We worked a lot on stories and things like that. And so I have to give them credit. And then other teachers and Peter McLean, Peter McLean from Christmas Island was so generous with me with his time. And Mickey Vanellic and Iona and John Rory McNeil and Iona and different people like that, just so generous with their time to put up with your, and I know I have the recordings, I know how bad my Gaelic was at the time, but they were
gentle about it when they might take you aside alone and say, well, there's a better way of saying that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but they would never.
But they would never make you feel.
No. No, that's right, and good on them. They recognize what was important. That you were trying and you were interested in. And they're just so kind.
Yes.
That's something that attracted me to Portage was a wonderful place to grow up, really.
Yeah.
But Castle Bay, people were so kind to each other. Yeah. Genuinely kind and caring, actively kind and caring. It's, they translate into that too, to learn Gaelic. Yeah.
So you worked on some special projects too in your career with Gaelic, and one of them is called Comhairle.
Oh yes.
And it was another interviewing project that was on the go. Can you talk a bit about that?
Sure. I didn't do that much work at Comhairle. I did 2 interviews, I think, for the project. Okay. But I was part of the group that kind of put the proposal together to get the funding to put the project on, to get it started. And then I did like 2 interviews, but there were others who did a lot more than I did at the time, and not to make excuses, but at that time too, I was swamped with work, and I did what I could, but I couldn't do as much as I would have liked to do.
It was nice to be part of that project. Yes.
Oh, it was wonderful. It was a wonderful project. I go there and just listen.
Yes.
Just for my own pleasure, just to hear people speaking. Yeah.
And of course, you served on a lot of committees and volunteer work. There's the Nova Scotia Gaelic Council, which has been around quite a number of years now, over 25 years.
Yes,
almost 30.
Yes.
You were quite involved in that in the beginning.
I was, yeah. The impetus to establish the Gaelic Council came out of the Celtic Conference that was held in 1987 in Sydney here. Okay. And it was put on by CBU, I used to be at the time, and others, community partners as well. Mm-hmm. And but as a result of that, coming out of that, there were some resolutions, of course. Mm-hmm. And so in follow-up meetings, we said, well, we need to form a council to represent Gaelic, in the world at large. And the Gaelic Council was formed out of that. Okay. And I was elected as the first president of the Gaelic Council. I served for a term at least. Mm-hmm. And so it was a really valuable thing to be involved with, to be part of it. To get a more organized voice for Gaelic in the community or in the world at large, that there was a Gaelic Council. And, it took a few years to get our feet under us, Everyone has their own approach to it. Some people wanted to deal with issues and other people wanted to deal with education. And so it took a little while to settle, but yeah. But
it's nice, the idea of the stewardship of Gaelic.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
That there was a voice for Gaelic.
There was,
indeed.
Yeah, and at that time, in the early years, we thought, well, we take representation from the different Gaelic organizations, and then there was like student representation and representation from someone who's not necessarily involved in the Gaelic organization, but they come from a community that's not represented by under that umbrella. So we got a really good representation from around the island, just to come together and discuss what we're dealing with.
And it covers the whole province. So.
Yes, that's right. It covers the whole province. That's right. And at that time, of course, there wasn't as much of a Gaelic presence in Halifax, you see. Yes. So I concentrated more on Cape Breton at that time, but you're right, absolutely.
So it opened doors.
Oh, it did, yeah, it did.
And windows.
Yeah, that's right, and everything else.
Well, so during your rounds of things did you ever do any research and writing?
I did, well, not academic research. I was more of a language instructor, was my role. But for the Comunn CD that Féis An Eilein published a number of years ago,
Through the province, I guess it was done.
You would have to ask others about how that.
Okay.
Well, it was done. The CBC was largely involved with it.
Yes.
Wendy Bergfeld and the CBC in Sydney were very much involved in it, and I wrote the liner notes for that CD, and they wanted some history, and of course there was biographies of singers and the songs and transcriptions and such.
You also sang a song.
Yeah, I also sang a song on it too. Yeah, they were really short of singers that day.
What was the name of the song?
Oh yeah, I can't think of it right now.
Yeah,
it'll come to you.
Hickey Rookett.
Gléidheadh. As sé áir an Gaidhlig Magúr.
I believe you sang it in. I heard you singing it in Grand Hours.
Yeah, gee. Fàillirinn, oh, Fàillirinn, Fàillirinn, shoot the dog. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a great experience.
That was. Yeah, it was. It was a wonderful thing. What we did is we invited singers to come and sing the song that they'd like to sing. And we didn't put any parameters on it at all. I think one person had a request that a certain person sing a song, and that was between those two people.
Oh.
But everyone else that came just said, well, sing the song what would you like to sing? And so what you have on the CD, I forget, there's a number of cuts on that CD, and you have is a good sampling of what singers in Cape Breton were singing, what their favorite song was, or the song they wanted to sing that day, which I find is really, I like that.
And the different dialects.
The different dialects, that's right, different styles. Yeah. And young and old too, like you had Colin Watson, and you had Peter McLean, and Alan McLeod and Maxie, but you also had Biddy Lord and
Seamus MacNeil.
That's right, Seamus MacNeil, Jamie.
What did they have a nickname? Jimmy Cowell.
Oh, Jimmy Coleman. That's right. Jimmy Coleman was there. Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, and Jamie McNeil. Rod C. was there, and of course Francis McCacken and Jim Watson. And what he said, Colin and Beth McNeil. Gàidhlig, of course. Gàidhlig was there. Yeah.
Maxie.
Yes. Yeah. Maxie was there. Yes, indeed. Yeah. So it was really good. And there's other people. I always, whenever I start listening to people, I say, "Oh God, I shouldn't have started because I'll forget somebody." But and Joe Peter played on it,
and so many of them are not with us today.
So many. That's right.
It's so wonderful to have that.
It is. And at the time, you think of that, but you don't really understand the importance of that. Yeah. Perhaps the first milling frolic I ever went to might have been a milling frolic out in Catalone.
Okay.
Yeah, I think once again I worked at the Highland Village in the summer for a few summers.
Yes.
And that's where I met Jim Watson. He was teaching Gaelic there to the staff. And it was a result of being there, maybe went with Jim Watson and maybe went on my own, I forget. But they had a milling frolic out in Catalone in a little small hall. And Maxie MacNeil was kind of he was encouraging people like of his peers from that area, Stephen Rory MacNeil, John Rory MacNeil, just to go to the milling frolic, because he had gone to a few milling frolics and brought people there. At first, he was telling me that the people in Iona, like Stephen Rory and John Rory, beautiful, wonderful singers, both of them, just speaking. Like John Rory, you could just listen to him talk all day, the beautiful voice he had. But they weren't sure that their songs were good enough to go to Catalone because they have the real milling frolic now, that kind of thing. Yeah. So as Maxie said, I got them to go once. And after that, the car was leaving. They were going too. They enjoyed it.
They enjoyed it, yeah.
They did, yeah. So that might be my first milling frolic around that time. That's after I'd been learning. I was in university at that point too, so I was doing this in the summertime. Yeah.
So Is there any musicians and singers that stand out in your mind of the group?
Yeah,
Some of them went away to perform, during, I think it was Expo.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
with John Shaw and a group that went.
That's right. Jim Watson, John Shaw.
I think to BC at one time.
They did.
Yeah.
They did, yes. Yeah, they went out to the Gaelic Cape Breton show, I think they called it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Were you involved in that?
No, I wasn't. No, I was kind of in my fledgling years of learning. Okay. No, not at all. But I've heard about it afterwards from Jim Watson. Yeah. And and of course before that, there was a group went down to Newport, Rhode Island Folk Festival.
Yes. Ralph Rensselaer.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. They went down. They went to Smithsonian and recorded there. That was back in the '60s. Mm-hmm. Peter McLean was part of that. Kay MacDonald from Waterford, and folks on the North Shore, and But
so I'd like to know your thoughts now, Hector, on the connection of the music to the language.
Well, I think in any language, any culture, any folk culture, the language and the music are going to be connected. The rhythms of the language are going to come through in the music, Colm grŵp a chesed glawn cwm hawn cwri, colm grŵp a chesed glawn cwm hawn cwri, Colm grŵp a chesed glawn, they're the long notes on the long vowels, that's going to come through in a folk culture. You take something else and you make it more academic or more competition based, and that gets distorted. But there is necessarily, in a whole and healthy folk culture, there is a connection, and it's a necessary, essential connection between the songs, the language, the dance, the music. It all goes together. It all fits.
So, do you see a strong benefit for young musicians today that are learning to play the fiddle or the piano or the guitar to understand some Gaelic and to speak some Gaelic?
It depends on what their objective is. Like today, if they just want to be a fiddler, they just want to be a musician of any kind, then there's no imperative on them to learn the language. And I think we see that happening. But if they want to play the music within that community, that we call the Gaelic cultural community, then the language is so essential for them. But they can play the music, and there are wonderful musicians out there who play brilliantly. But what are they playing? They're playing Cape Breton music, they're playing Celtic music, they're playing all these things. But it's not Gaelic music. And so it's important to them to play Gaelic music. They need the language. But it depends on what they want, what their objective is. Like from teaching, say at the Gaelic College, we have people from all over North America coming in, and it might be from Pittsburgh and California and Chicago and Halifax and Nauvoo. Well, you give the person from Nauvoo a word, they say it. It's correct. It's they say it because when they speak English with a Gaelic accent and some English sounds. Not the same for someone coming in from another place. Same with the music. If people are immersed in that music or in the culture and in the language around them, you absorb that and it comes out when you express yourself, whether it's musically or with your voice. So that's going to be there. But the music is so much better when someone plays it who is sensitive to that. Maybe they're not completely fluent. I wish every musician was fluent, whether they play the fiddle or the trombone. I don't care. But to me, their music is so rich when they're sensitive and aware of that. It's important for Gaelic that there be a body of Gaelic-speaking musicians. It's so important, and that's something I'm seeing emerging. well, at the staff at the Gaelic College now, those young people, young Gaelic speakers who are musicians, you know, and it's so healthy, you know, and they're passing on all of that whole attitude, not just their music, not just their language, but their way of being in the world. And but we need that. Gaelic needs that. And,
what about song composers? I think myself that there's a lack of song composers, Gaelic song composers these days, right. And it's a time that some efforts be put in that direction, that there's talent out there that could do it, I think.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering your thoughts on how that could happen.
Well, when I was at the Gaelic College, I didn't do it, and but I talked to people a few times about doing a Gaelic song competition. You know, where people would submit their song and be maybe I'm not much on competition like the mod competitions, that kind of competition, but something that would prompt people to write a song.
Get the ball rolling.
That's right, and share it. Maybe it'd be it'd be more like a festival or something. You know, they write their song and they come together in an informal setting and everybody sings their song and they get feedback from other people. You know. How you do that, I don't know. Once you start staging things, once you take it over as a natural element, then things can get complicated. You know? You're very sure you do it right, you know. But I think of that. I know Jeff Gàidhlig, he composed a few songs, and I know Jim Martin composed one. Yeah, he showed it to me years ago. And but so there are people around who can and even perhaps have composed songs.
Have you tried yourself?
Oh, I made one verse on one song years ago. Oh, years ago, yes. It wasn't that good. But like I said, that was years ago. Yeah. One of these days I'm going to try.
Well, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Future project?
That's right, a future project. Yeah.
Well, check out of a shed let.
And listen, Hanyami Choelch in the Haar and so is Dunja Elle, dus de Bruinish. Ach, and Haar and a share looms, and me kretchen say, and Hannah had him kretchen say, or in the Gléidheadh. Shin and titel, the head of kretchen. Guess I am to know, and Haar and Shin. Guess she. Oren ma stolum a varstoch gehaus en orens na job in the hocus na dinging agus churri Gléidheadh agus swing the head found the head ha court from Kutchok. So shin tar and share looms.
So once today one this I was asking you what song is your favorite Gaelic song, and
yes. My favorite song is called "A Song to a Lad Who Was Drowned," or "A Song to a Boy Who Was Drowned," and I think that's the title on the book. And it's in the Alderneach of the Gaelic Songster, and it's a song about a young fellow who was drowned, and I like the poetry in it. Very, very well put together, very powerful imagery that kind of stays in your mind. And I mean, there's so many good and many great Gaelic songs, but that if I was forced to, as I am right at this moment, forced to pick one, that would be it, I think. Yeah.
And never would have it in this.
Well, feel it. Sure, and a music me. Sure, as in John Dewey, or in the Gléidheadh, agus Jaime chéile Peter MacDonald and a Bechash and an Ellen and Novak. Agus chudde in a tape in my home. Agus so sure figure the hard in the chudde in tape gone so. Agus music me van tape agus van the old and hard in Ica. Could you? Fàillirinn, Gléidheadh, Fàillirinn, Fàillirinn, horo Fàillirinn, Gléidheadh aicheann. Sound it post and tie Ari hukuk shuor shavat chabes jura rein takalach and down ich na burst. Fàillirinn, Gléidheadh aicheann you. Fàillirinn, Gléidheadh horo Fàillirinn, Gléidheadh aicheann you. Sound hears is Gàidhlig hamagos an na wire, Frolic na maras for Gaelic nan stool. Fàillirinn, Gléidheadh aicheann you. Smooth and baked the whole quanach, Vigar epag san yemin gun kistje gun annars, ach Gàidheal groen. Fàillirinn, Gléidheadh aicheann you. Sound feske G Mars Gawov skippe vau in Chaie Jirie Vaderein takels grond. Fàillirinn, Gléidheadh aicheann you. Fàillirinn, Gléidheadh horo Fàillirinn, Gléidheadh aicheann. Trúgliom the fewer get the high doch heji an coachs be a mod cool Fàillirinn, Gléidheadh aicheann you. Trúgliom the verhudi gretarach nach dúri the gaver vigat charupsan Fàillirinn, Gléidheadh aicheann you. Smíri gira gapjawig trum chemas meer manjas mava sukruged meja chaya tamal cool. Fàillirinn, Gléidheadh aicheann you. Fàillirinn, Gléidheadh horo Fàillirinn, Gléidheadh aicheann you. Han card an ordenach sin na hecam sa na chuine dásta.
Way back.
Fàillirinn.
Fabulous. Come on. Way back. So to continue now with some samples of your Gaelic, do you have any favorite Gaelic expressions that you like to use?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Shouldn't expressions.
Or proverbs or things like that. Yes,
a proverb. Shinako. Yeah. Shinach when I heard John Rory MacNeil, Glenvarry. As a cool vote, een cool mode ga ik het die Barra Glen.
Okay.
Ik is een cool back beetje dat I am rear. John Roy zei dus dan gach cool de heetje heen. Mineke gach cool onze jaarlijke heen. She gashkach. She wilg out. Ach sheetje goed ook sin voor een beetje chillical stew as a fudge voon. Goed stew as a kitchen. Or ach go over the fire and torsion.
The swill.
Swill, sin en cheechik. Dus dan de gach koe ne heetje heen. Goed zo box of ears. Sin en datje heen.
So up to there, what change?
Oh, it's similar to what's that expression? Every man's a king in his own house.
Okay.
You know, in your own place, in your own.
Yes.
You can be far braver and more assertive than you can be elsewhere, that kind of thing. And I was saying the Sheechik, as I understand it, Standagach Coon, the Heechikane, is every dog is brave in his own yard, but Sheechik was actually where they throw the
leftovers in the swill.
The leftovers in the swill and all that, kind of a little bit of a heap there.
Yeah.
So it kind of adds a little poignancy to it.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah. There's another one that John Rory got from John Rory too. Ha'immerug Sarav Gunavrishtuk. There's rowing in the oar without breaking it.
Ah.
It's a great, so if you, like he said himself when he told me that, he translated, he said, well, if you go at it too, he didn't use the word first, but if you go at it too fierce, well, you'll have to break something. Mm-hmm. But if you go at it steady, you'll get it done. So, you
won't have any delays.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
It's like that saying, steady rain wets the soil or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But a heavy rain will just run off.
It will run off. That's right. Yeah, same idea. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there was others too like that. There's one. It's like John Royce told me that day. He said, I was recording with just cassette recorder, and he was saying the way with Proverbs is you try to think of them and you can't think of them. But then you'll be talking to somebody, you'll be talking about something, and the proverb will come to you because it applies to that situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
It'll just seem to fit.
That's right. Yeah.
And a lot was said in a few words.
Oh, that's the beauty of it.
Covered a lot.
It condenses so much. Yeah. Well, there's another one. Actually, I came across it in Dweller's Dictionary. It was Swoa and Chech Iasit. Swoa and Chech Iasit. Fast is the borrowed horse.
Ah.
I think in the modern context, you say fast is the rented car.
Yeah.
Because you're not concerned about what you do to it when you're using it. That's one way of thinking of it. Fast is Swoa and Chech Iasit. Yeah.
Or maybe it means you get more work out of a horse that's lent to you, then you take better care of your own than you would.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're not worried about the long-term health of the horse. You just want to get it done. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. There was another one. Spoanya cool na ui. The Spoanya cool na ui. Like the back side of a thing, the end of a thing, is more long-lasting than the beginning. And I found that in Dweller's Dictionary.
Yeah.
But his explanation was that enmity, can start with a moment, but it'll last, But I think it applies to other things as well, When you cool, something happens and it could be good or bad, but it reverberates. And in a moment, just a moment of happening can have such a long-term effect. Yeah. Strik gehannig more respect. Yeah. It's often great came from little, great thing, large came from small.
Yeah.
Sana Sakela near the Castro. That was it. Was she else knew Dick, was she goes Amsterdam. Sana Sakela near the Castro is from scattered stones or from scattered things that they build castles. And so you take things here and there and put it. You give it a form. And, Anyway, it's a few.
Those are great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. And origin to be, or hymns, or things like that.
Underliedig Gàidhal. Baile Woi, the Gaijin is Féis An Eilein, and the house of Féis An Eilein and Tosha. But Sheriff Shek was shaking, Kutchak. na fearras go néis. Agus is an sin chusin ri chéile cáisir a gúne as a cháirsnach. A dúne as a cháirsnach. Agus is an sin dúnsaí sin bhói agus há nóing a gael an isteach. O dhé grai, o dhé marún. Sin sacrs de scríbe, Hughie MacDonald, Hennig is Hughie the Bird. The tiger of Comhairle Shane, agus big cáisiir. Agus Hennig an gur cuideachach leis a cáisiir, agus sin an bhói a dúnsaigh sin. Dúnsaigh sin. Agus, yeah.
So, there was this Gaelic storytelling is a very big thing in the Gaelic tradition.
Sure.
And in Cape Breton especially, there was some great stories passed on that came from the old country too. And I'm sure you heard a lot of different ones yourself along the way. So, can you share a story with us that you've heard?
Sure.
Or that was passed down that stuck with you or made an impression on you?
Yeah. First of all, in Castle Bay, like say my Aunt Jessie again, she had all kinds of stories, but they weren't scale. There were stories about what happened on the farmstead and what happened to this fellow. And Jessie Shawnich, pure mahad. Chaisha a bray on a naked jig sa shia, agus yeik a mahad on a naked jig sa na jig. So Haro Jessie ach triblin jig der yeik a mahad. Agus Baisha Benanteas, Joey Shin, is kind of Joey and Taya, is kind of Joey a Hahad, the Brad and Ishka, but Navavika. So, Marshin Baisha Mesk Nishan doing, the hick to get the stay some tea, so whole she, Baisha na Mesk get na Royach na Ni. So, Bashan story in Ishka. I guess the story I Gléidheadh but Thai Locky but Bohan Locky and the bank house who's at a bank. I guess more in Thai Locky I guess it Hokel Margaroa Central Chimney House is like the G until the walking. I guess horse by Ginshga pure a hard by Ginshi bring again the shell dog. Well root the horse the ho bria was that nor a move at the state out and tie walking mach as a wochen walking. I tell you go uward on. Can you lar ach uward ga you the fig by ho boa in the castle. Sweet use she had Haro over figures as a bottom knocking in each. I guess Rutella by Ginsha trip hand dunye a rachach, giddy rachach, the cheg and the hinyak as in type. They should pelican the hennet. I guess Hanek of Versha just goes rachach, the cheg and the knee and Acharuisha messel itch. I guess Kachiki and Maka brilliant itch. I guess so Baishas and Jumber to the kitchen a second. Jumber Hackleson. I guess Haya Mahed a stay. I guess horse well be a fork na hike good son you can catch in Kurshi. Horse die gehaar. Ik vult die katholisch na heek. I can let you in. Yeah, ik kan dan eens gaan. Horse in maar al. Dat is een na jenige reisje. Kan je zien? Ach, je ziet de shores en neig in. Ik Jessie is, Han je skioch gan around folklore museum bioadish. Han neach illa aun. Hoi me shop for heap Ryan Ewan Mackenzie walking around a Hennigish. As a cool Alan the Nowick. I guess Cayu couldn't neach show tapes on pure Merit Beat and Peytonach Xavier Colleges like I guess the brain I can't go Gàidhlig for a school was a cars nach I guess by Sean Gàidhlig of Angel I guess this my right Shen Charoi Comunn Féis An Eilein she is a wow and Charoi Comunn Féis An Eilein wie like me Shen vorig lay heen so that had you seen Charoi dunje geri Ike a story I can tell you that I big wine so Hanik Tauch on een mogen Ike I guess Jamie Sue go show you I guess who you uncle the Ewan Mackenzie Hui essen stoi, go show haar. Ranik ach een heimisch, ranik ach een heimisch en toi. Ga je tjug soes a boog en die tjug so dat. Hij is wel kopje gedjege wacht, ja nog eens. Hanik je machas en toi soort die ach een heimische wooi. Nog chico noos gaven tea, a tea heb hem zo. Oh, ga gaven, ga jikkie zie je zo op rekken. Wrong shop in Comhairle. Comhairle in Operakan. Oh, was in Keski. Garo fatte bij moeie reis. Een heimische wooi, na chico noos is gaven tea. Oh, ga nooding ons en dan nooding op bij maken op shop. Zo, reis zijn ik weg. Een heimische wooi, na chico noos gaven tea. Ha pancake maak om zo de hand. Oude Jesu. Well, Haro is on the migo, seconds. Haro giri koshias others. Hanika shias, highest dies, huyakabors, vas moins, you will pancake, havigi go wine sugar, the well can use. Gavin pancake, Gavin tea. Ughan hamish, as he said, Jemmervan pancake. Oh, I said, I shoot them pancake, a bear, a yich miria, as I said. Well, ain't she me good, as he shoot a noon pancake, a half of my vehicle. De heel kentel says, well, as he said, yes, it me jail foil of the pancakes and my hypers, some my hyperach, roy, as he said. Yicht me maleo ye, I guess for pancake araco, I guess gak me shit out the natin as a stove, come on boil. Jaime can leppy, in een eigen sinds, hoe me krijg onverzocht naar mijn winnig, as he said. Hoe me krijg onverzocht naar mijn winnig. Dus jij rein me, ach, jerig me, is hoor me een pancake shin, hoor me een pancake in mijn broer. I guess, I'll fat the heifer, give my broer, shut een pancake, have my beer. Well, reg altijd zoals je zin, jerig essen, I guess, heetje. Han je lessen aan de goede krieger en hopen dat de wolfkus naar de goede. I guess, horste kutje. It's Joey Shin as a cars nog. Root the Hanik hoeket. Nach ro work, nach ro geri. Gaan ik het Shin pancake cat in the bowl. Cat in the bowl, gaan ik het drie. Pancake cat in the bowl, that's it. I got this story from a tape, Ewan Mackenzie from Christmas Island. He was a great storyteller, fiddler, piper, song composer, in the old tradition. And anyway, he had this story. He made a tape for Sister Margaret Beaton, who, eventually they named the Beaton Institute after her. And anyway, and the tape is on file at the Beaton Institute. Anyway, he was talking about this woman in the community. Her name was Catherine of Old, Big Catherine. And she was an old woman. She was getting very advanced in years, and she wasn't keeping her house as clean as she was when she was younger. She wasn't keeping her hands and that as clean. So, as a result, people didn't want to eat when they came in the house. So she wasn't getting the company that she used to get. But she got a hole in the roof of her house. She needed a carpenter to fix the hole. And she got this fellow, Elchan Hamish, Hector James, Elchan Hamish. And he was an uncle to Ewan Mackenzie. And I guess he was a carpenter. She got him in to fix the roof. He got there in the morning and went straight up on the roof, straight to his work, you know. And he was up there working, and she came out of the house. Elchan Hamish, oh boy, no chico news, Gavin tea. Elchan Hamish, my dear, won't you come down and have a cup of tea?
Yeah.
And of course, he said, oh no, I have to keep up my work. I have to work, I have to keep working. She came out again a little while later. Elchan Hamish, oh boy, won't you come down and have some tea? No, I said, I have to stay at this work here. Oh, she came out again. Elchan Hamish, oh boy, won't you come down and have a cup of tea? I have a lovely pancake for you. Well, he didn't want to be rude and he didn't want to be put down on her, you know, so he came down. He was thinking too, well, there's a pancake and she's not going to be handling it with her hands, you know, to mix it up. So he sat down at the table, he had the pancake and he had his tea, and she said, Elchan Hamish, how did you like the pancake? And he said, oh, that's the best pancake I ever did in my life. Well, I'll tell you, she said, that's the very pancake that saved my life. What do you mean? He said. Well, she said, I fixed myself a nice pile of pancakes yesterday for supper, and I ate my fill of them, but there was one left, and I left it in the oven to keep it warm. I went to bed, and I woke up with an awful pain in my gut, she said. So what did I do? But I got up, and I got that pancake out of the oven, and I put it on my belly, and it was there all night long. That's the pancake that saved my life. And I guess at that point, Elchan Hamish got up from the table, and he got out of there. And I don't know if he ever fixed the roof or not, but that's the story. And after that, according to Ewan Mackenzie, something that locally in the community, something that came to you that you weren't looking for, and perhaps you weren't really welcoming, but it came to you anyway. They'd say, oh, that's Big Catherine's pancake.
So in this year, Ryan Tudison, Glawapa. Untulis, okay. You're back in the end, can you tell us a bit about your trip to Scotland?
Yeah, well, that's a Gaelic, that's a Gaelic.
Well, whichever you choose.
It's a Gaelic,
okay.
It's something like a course of Gaelic. Ja, chaim mi an san Colaisde na Gàidhlig, na háisc mi opad bháin híd an. Ba mi géri cainneach di dúne bha gopi as a Gàidhlig as an Jan Dúi. Agus, mi seach da heach genau, cainneach di dúne as fer hópa. Ha bhór dúne fer cún di se bhán, accountant of bhán, as fer eile bha checkas, as fer eile bha no che eile bha she banaltrum a bean chop, she gopi sa Gaelic, by a Gaelic eichkas, big patients on, necro Gaelic, as gopi machinas. She they said that he had a non tourist of me real, as in Jan Tuli. So, yeah, when we come driving heen, if I do, kenny me severe, my 2 weeks getting lost in Scotland. Ach, ga ik meer doen about Czechos, Corsican Tommy, maar we gaan het in Corsican Polky, is Gaelic. Hij is juist gesammerastig, hij meer geen dochter Annes. Maar vorige laat hem skiën, dus hij vorige gaan haast. Dus. Jalen, people, ja. I guess, I think a mass, so we gaan niet zo eens museum, who's in it. I don't know what's going to it. Could you? Can you go museum, could you? Like a mass, I guess Jalen could be kind of be doing this. Doing you. A war goed kunnen doen je rom, hager me. Joens zich het een kutjak, shinne root. Daar veel we nou waar Gaelic eigenlijk op een hoes. Ach, of all hooch, get about gokis a Gaelic, but karma of a mission. Use the arts and good Gaelic kutja. So much in mission go so kutja. Yeah. Guess the notion Jaime Mach Gabara is some Dialects and Vata. And me study the flame, G Saharnias, go of me, G Matin, G Marsh. So if I why in that comes is, yeah, good week me the B&B shin, like my works, yeah. So, Horderum Gamor beyond. Beerlum Gromi on the Batanation. Well, not, out in David, Kujok, so, how I bore off, amateur non walk todish, Ray, I shouldn't man. Ach, yeah, Horderum Gamor, Bill Bevalum Gawarash, I mean, we can't intend become Pika Blaine and Estia. Yeah, walking away. Yeah.
So what, do you remember what year that was?
I think it was 97. It was 97 or 98 possibly. Yeah, I went over for the Gaelic College to meet people who were working in Gaelic there, just to get the lay of the land as far as Gaelic went there. And I spent 2 weeks there. And I call it my 2 weeks getting lost in Scotland, because I was navigating and driving on the other side of the road at the same time. But I met a lot of really interesting people doing, like one guy designed an accounting program in Gaelic, and he used it in his work. People teaching in immersion. Ian MacDonald was teaching at the college in Inverness, teaching immersion class there. I stayed with him and his wife for 3 nights, I think. They were so very generous.
And could you understand his Gaelic as well as your own?
Yes, no problem at all. No. The only dialect that I ever found a challenge to understand was Lewis dialect. Okay. And I think that's not the only Gaelic in the world. Their dialect is very particular. Beautiful Gaelic, but it's particular. You have to get used to it. I'd spoken to people on the North Shore plenty, but their dialect in Lewis was a little more different than my dialect, and it was North Shore people I found so clear, so easy to understand when they'd speak. But I was standing outside. The mod was on at Blair Gallery at the time, and I went there and spent a little time with Finn McLeod, Fuel with Stree, and we were standing outside, just talking, and this guy walked by and he said, "Oh, Gaelic Bria Kepelite." And I'm sorry, I don't remember his name now, though I knew it. Yes, that's right, and I recognized him at the time, but I can't remember. But he had spent time in Cape Breton. And he recognized the right
That was quite a compliment.
It was a great compliment. It certainly was, yeah. So, and I went out to Barra for a long weekend. Went out Saturday, came back on Tuesday, left on Tuesday. Yeah.
And the weather was pretty good when you were there?
It was pretty good. One night it rained. I walked into the pub and the rain was coming sideways, of course. I got there and it was myself and one other person in the pub, and he looked so much like coming out of a family in Benacity. Honest to God, if he would have walked in and sat down to dinner, they would have been so confused. He looked like them, he talked like them, his whole mannerisms like those people.
I've heard
it was
that
uncanny.
Before,
It really was, yeah. And
there's strong connections.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Between them.
There are, yeah.
Well, that's a good thing.
It was great. Oh yeah, great thing. Yeah.
So this Amsterdam in English. What sort of changes have you seen over the years since you've become involved with Gaelic?
Oh, let's see. I've seen a lot of, good and bad, I guess. One of the changes you have to mention right away is that the older people who grew up with Gaelic as a first language, they're getting very scarce, and when I came on the scene learning Gaelic, people were talking about, I knew him when he was 50, and now he's 60, and now he's Then he was 90 and now he's gone, that sort of thing. So those people are so scarce now. And I miss them. I miss them personally, each of them personally, and I miss their whole influence, I remember the time after Joe Neil MacNeil died, and I was teaching, and I could say, now I know a man, his name's Joe Neil MacNeil, and he has this story, and he has this story, and he has a tremendous memory, and, and after he died, I started telling with him, I said, oh, I knew a man. There was a man, that as long as he was there, he was there, and when he was gone, he was gone. Although we had tapes and all this stuff in his memory.
A wealth of information.
Yeah. And just his presence, the fact that he was alive in the world meant so much, because there was that much Gaelic alive in the world, And so I miss those people. I miss them as people, as friends, as mentors, as acquaintances. But that being said, there's so many more young people learning Gaelic, I remember when I started, I mentioned Jim Watson already, and John Shaw was, he was already had his PhD and, all that, and done his research project and all that, when I ever heard of him. But there was myself seriously learning Gaelic, and at the time I didn't know anybody else who was, sticking their neck out like that. And then very soon after that, Gàidhlig started, and I got to know him, about him, and there's a few more people. But today, I see young people, like the staff at the Gaelic College, those young people speaking Gaelic, and it's wonderful. That didn't exist when I started, and I was older than they were when I started learning. And they're older than they are for the most part when I started learning. So that's
encouraging.
Yes, Gaelic in the schools, that's encouraging.
And there's young couples bringing up their children in Gaelic now, which will produce a native speaker.
That's right. Yeah. First, that's right. Yeah. And
well, that's positive.
That is very positive, yeah. And of course, we're using better methodologies for teaching Gaelic. The TIP or Gaelic Baile is far more effective than what we were doing before. So people come along more quickly. It's more encouraging. So people stay with it longer. They have better success. All that thing is really encouraging. And the attitude towards Gaelic in Cape Breton, in Nova Scotia, we'll say. But Cape Breton was my world. I was putting those parameters. I mean, that's changed so much for the better now. So much for the better. Rodney MacDonald, he changed the terrain completely for Gaelic in Nova Scotia. Completely. When he, as minister, before he became premier, as minister, he created the position for a field officer for Gaelic in Nova Scotia. The likes had never been, well, I guess perhaps C.I.N. MacLeod back in 1949 or 1950, but there had been none since that time. And yes, and just gave Gaelic a status. I was part of that ad hoc committee for coming up with a Gaelic policy for the province of Nova Scotia and presenting that to the minister. And people worked for several years on that policy, and and with Rodney's encouragement and support, of course. And then when he became premier, and and created the Office of Gaelic Affairs and hired another field officer. So, and then the work he's done at the Gaelic College, he's done wonderful stuff, bringing in those young people who not only they're Gaelic speakers and they're musicians, they're dancers. So, if you want to do something, if you want to put on a day or you want to have students come in, your staff is there. They're multi-talented, and they can do it. They speak the language, they can teach the language, they can sing a song, they can play the piano, they can teach the piano, the fiddle, the step dancing. It's such a nice, wonderful whole, healthy package that he's really put together there. And, I think the guy's done tremendous things.
And I think he commissioned that report that was done in 2001, the Kennedy report. Were you involved in that too?
I was to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was to a certain degree. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're working on an update to that report.
Are they?
Going through the Highland Village.
Good.
Yeah. You're seeing changes in the schools?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when I started out, there was a Gaelic teacher in Mabu, and they brought Gaelic teachers over from Scotland back in the 1970s. The Cape Breton Gaelic Society had done that, and you had Maureen Mackenzie. She was from Cape Breton, but she was studying over there. Effie Rankin and Margie Beaton, and there was another woman. I only met her once, Merdina Stewart, I believe her name. I only met her once, but to have Gaelic, it's not entrenched in the school system, but represented so well in the school system now is a big step forward. I think there's still to be more to be done there. You have essentially like core Gaelic, core French. Immersion programs are so much more effective. But we have Gaelic in schools for students, and they have such a good start on learning the language. To continue as adults or continue when they finish that part of their schooling. Yeah.
Well, would you like to predict if there'll ever be a Gaelic medium school in Nova Scotia?
I think there will.
Good.
I think there will. I think that you have these young parents who are raising their children in Gaelic, and they're very smart, capable people. I know them, and they have the ability, they have the smarts and the ability and the drive and the courage to do that if they decide to. And I think they may just decide to. I'd love to see them do it. Yeah.
And the more attention that's brought to Gaelic, the better. And the Celtic Colours International Festival has done played some part in that. And of course, the Féis Kitchen at the Gaelic College.
Yes, that's right.
I think every event had a Gaelic content.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, no, that's a great. I mean, Celtic Colours is a wonderful festival, and their outreach, their community programs is expanding as the whole festival has. The Féis Kitchen is wonderful as well, but also Féis An Eilein. We should talk about that a little bit. I feel was it 1991 or something? We started Féis An Eilein. I was part of that group there. At the time, it was a pretty courageous thing to take on, to present a festival that's centered around Cape Breton Gaelic culture. And that's how we phrased it at the time. And things that were represented in our community, we represented in the Féis, and if they weren't represented in the community, they didn't come from the community, then they weren't represented. And, we made that stance, and we held to it, and developed a community-based festival that goes to this day and has done a lot of good. A lot of students have come through that program, and they've expanded from there to summer courses through, all summer lessons in Gaelic language and fiddle and piping and piano, dance, depending on the young mentors that are available to carry on those. And the Gaelic concert series. When you mentioned that about Féis Kitchen, the Féis An Eilein started the Gaelic concert series, and every concert has a Gaelic-speaking MC, and most often the MC is also a singer to present the song. So there's always that Gaelic content. It's always aimed at Cape Breton or Nova Scotia Gaelic culture, and that's one of the. I'm very proud to have been part of many things, but Féis An Eilein in particular.
And the hospitality there is amazing.
Yes.
I enjoy it every time I've ever been there.
Yes.
You feel at home.
You do, you do. One of the nicest compliments I heard coming to the Féis was at a community meeting, and I think it was part of this ad hoc committee meetings to come up with a Gaelic policy for the province. And they had a public meeting in Christmas Island, and there was a man who wasn't living in the community, but he had been there in the summer, and he was back again for whatever reason. And he got up and he said, what I like is that when I come to the Féis, I feel like you're doing things that you like to do anyway, and I get to take part in it.
Yeah.
Rather than coming up with some tourist idea that you think the tourist will like.
Yeah.
That's right, and doing that. And I thought, well, the Féis is doing something right.
Yes.
Some people feel that way. Yeah.
It's not just a performance.
No, that's right. Yeah. So, I thought that was a good comment.
So, what future do you see for Gaelic in the years to come?
Mm-hmm. I asked John Rory MacNeil. I asked him, "Sul of the Gaelic Baile in Comunn Féis An Eilein. Do you think Gaelic will be alive in 20 years?" Yeah. And he said, "Well, Dó Nash Féis An Eilein, a Chaninsa Gromórin Dachas I can be Baile. Going back 20 years, I wouldn't express too much hope that you'd be alive. Ach, mar a grán in Jew, mar a ús tókol na Gaelic, agus Chéile gopi as a chwachan, a Baile mar a chemsat in Nishta, Baile na Gael. Isha tókol na Gaelic, Gert could be Bill has. So, mar a horse dessen, he said the way you're a young person, you're learning Gaelic. He said, and that young woman out there, she's learning the Gaelic, and young people learn the Gaelic. I'd say that maybe it will be alive in 20 years. And so she knew, Marha Fàillirinn tókol na Gaelic, be dúnja Breton Gaelic in Comunn Féis An Eilein. Be, I guess. Gléidheadh sound ik Gléidheadh brach, ach Gàidhlig be Quaun, we know Breton Gaelic Kujo. I guess be Gaelic China Hurst, Gàidhlig. Ach Hanja listen Gléidheadh, Dunja, vis Breton, vis Breton as a rhyme, ach be Helmke you be Dunja Breton.
So, do you have some advice for learners of any age?
Well, Arish, maar hoort Mickey Benillik. Van kantel, hami dullik hoort mi sin care. Dus, wat sin care, Jimmer has, hoort meer has, hoort, kom round, kerst no care, kom round. Wie na fillentik heen, dan care. Jera, kom round. So, shinarut, kom round, be mogel, wel kerst no care. Vemi to be meso, de Gaelic, a geintje. Ach, Comhairle. Get be merach genel, be educator, de schutze shaw. Ach, na kort shies orst heen. Ach, Comhairle a bruin, agus a kjumsig. I guess be fel in alle mogorst orst chien kaal het kutjok.
So what's the there one? Some advice for learners.
Oh yes.
Any kind, any age.
Yes, I was interviewing Mickey Benellic in Iona years ago, and I would be apologizing, and my Gaelic was pretty sparse, and I'd say something wrong, and I'd say, "Oh, I'm sorry, it was wrong," or how do you say that right? And finally, Mickey stopped me. He said, keep going, right or wrong, just keep going." Yes. The fluent speakers themselves will go wrong and make mistakes. Just keep going. Don't worry about it. And I think that's the best advice I got. I mean, you have to have respect for the language. You have to be trying your best to learn it as well as you can. You have to continue learning it as well as you can. Don't just stop when you get enough to get a job. You have to keep learning. You have to give it its due. And but if you do that, just keep learning, make mistakes, don't worry about them, keep going. Everybody is on your side. Everyone is rooting for you. And we could be our own worst critics, Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts now, Hector, before we end the interview today?
Well, I guess I feel grateful for, whatever it was that brought me to take Gaelic seriously and start down that road learning Gaelic and following it. I'm just grateful that happened and that I had the opportunity to do it and that I followed it. And all the people that I've met through it, the older people, the younger people, the students, the kindness that you receive from so many people and the song sessions and the debates and, the tunes, and it's been so rich and so easy to miss it in this mass culture that we live in. And I feel so grateful that I was able to have been and hopefully continue to be part of that and enjoy that wonderful company.
Great.
And I thank you for coming to do this interview and to ask important questions and I'm honored that you came to ask me these questions. So thank you for that.
Thank you. That's very kind. And I'd like to thank you as well on behalf of the Gaelic College for participating in this interview series. And I'm sure it will be wonderful for people to have as a resource for years to come. And more than thank.
Oh, shit to there. One G to there. You're most welcome.